thank you very much for coming in today. I wonder if you could start by telling us your name and your role.
Well, my name's Karen Squirrel and I'm the registered manager at Care Home in Aldborough.
And going right back, when you were at school,
Yeah.
what did you want to be?
I wanted to be an air traffic controller, actually.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I always wanted to be an air traffic controller, but I also wanted to be out playing, so I didn't actually put enough effort into my schoolwork. So
So you had a focus issue at school.
I did.
I had one of those too. What was your first ever job?
My first ever job, I left school and went to Secretarial College, and I was a shorthand typist for Lloyds Bank in the City of London.
So you lived in London then?
I did, yeah.
And you've done a number of jobs in your time.
Mainly clerical or administration, and I worked at Sizewell Power Station on the construction site for a few years. I've worked in retail. I have done quite a few different things. I worked in a delicatessen. I didn't come into care really until my late 40s.
And what prompted that?
Well, my dad sort of within a 6 months window got advanced dementia practically overnight. It was just terrible. He had his own scaffolding business in London, and we had to help shut the business down, and I brought him up to Suffolk. He was able to buy a house directly opposite mine. One came up, but he only stayed in that for a couple of months, and it was just clear he couldn't live on his own. So he came to live with me. We converted our garage. I had 2 teenage boys at the time and my husband, but we converted our garage into a little flat, and he sort of lived with our family.
So you could say you created your first care home at home?
At home.
In the garage?
We did, yeah. It was challenging, but we did it.
And eventually, did he go into a home himself?
He stayed with us for 5 years until I couldn't cope on my own. I needed help. We had tried during that time to have some home care help, but it didn't work out. So after 5 years, he needed to go into a dementia home where the facilities were built to accommodate him. He was a scaffolder by trade all his life, and he was at that home for 2 years before he died. And in that 2 years, they never had any curtain poles left in the building. And it was really, because every time, he was very strong, every time they put them back up, he would take them down because he was building.
That physical memory of lifting things.
In the end, in their communal areas, they never put them back up, they just left them.
Oh, wonderful. They thought, just let him do what he wants to do.
So even now, if I talk to anybody from that home, that was 5 years ago now that he passed away. They remember him for that. So that's quite nice.
And what was your experience of that care home from your point of view?
From my point of view, when he went into the care home, I grieved terribly. And I do have that empathy with families when they come in. I am able to see their point of view of when they put their relative, into a home. I grieve for him, but the home was fabulous. I visited every other day, and they couldn't do more for him. So that changed my view of care homes. My dad went in there out of necessity, which nowadays I think most people try to keep people at home, but sometimes it is necessary. And it's good actually that people can see they are lovely places. They are. And myself now, I have no qualms that later on I wouldn't mind going into a home.
And then what happens? Because then this became something else for you, didn't it?
Then it did. Then I went to work in retail. I thought I want to do something totally different. And I liked it. It was fine, but it was just the job. Anyway, I have an acquaintance that owns a care home, and she said to me, can you come down and help me with a bit of paperwork?" Because she knew that I'd done administration in the past. And I said, "Not in your life. That's the last place I want to be, is working in, I've just been at home with my dad for 5 years. I want something different."
So you yourself had that misconception that perhaps it wouldn't be a nice place to work.
Yeah. But she said, "Oh, please, you'll be doing me a favour if you could just come and help me out a bit."
And how long ago was this?
So this would have been 6 years. So I said, "All right then." So I went down there, and from the first day, I just loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved how the staff come together as a group to look after everybody, make sure everybody's organised and looked after and well cared for. And I just loved it. So, and from the paperwork, they had an opening for an activities person. I said, "Well, I can do that. I'll give that a go." And that was it then. I was in and I was not coming out. Out of all the jobs I'd had, that was the one that made me feel good. And it made me feel good because I knew that I was helping other people. From just tiny things to just sitting down for 5 minutes with someone with a cup of tea, just having a little chat. You've changed their day, and you can see it in them.
That's what it must be a bit like being a teacher, in that you are surrounded by the proof of your success.
Yeah. We also know when we've done something wrong. They're quick to tell you how much they love you, the residents, and they love you being there. But if you put a foot wrong or say something wrong, they're quick to tell you that as well.
Do you have any examples of that?
Well, we've got one. A lady the other day was in one of our communal areas, and she said to me, "Who are you?" And I said, I'm Karen. You know who I am. I'm the manager." "Manager? You might think you're the bloody manager. Bugger off," she said to me. "Sorry." And we have that quite a lot, actually.
That's fantastic.
That is, yeah.
I can't imagine that you do have a normal day, but if you can try and describe what a normal day for you might be like.
We're going in. I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, actually in the home, but we do lots of things out of the home and at weekends as well. I go in, we have a walk around the home, say good morning to everybody, make sure everything's all right, and then things spiral from that. You'll see something that's not quite right, or you'll see a resident maybe a little bit distressed. You'll sit with them for half an hour, go for a walk around the garden, and the day just spirals, really. It's never, you can't plan your day.
But then you can't get bored with your day. I think that's one of the wonderful things about care work. You don't have to go into an office, stare at the same wall and type on a computer. If that's not your thing, care work could well be your thing, and it's not necessarily about experience or training, I suppose. I mean, would you say it's about personality, the kind of person that you consider is right for care? Is it personality based more than anything else? To come into care, it is values based. What are your values? If you like people, if you want to help people, that is what helps. That is what we need in care. We can train anybody. If you've got the values inside you, we can train you to do the actual job and to get the qualifications. You started doing bits of paperwork, you then moved into activities. What was your next move within care?
Well, I'm quite a nosy person, and I like to know what's going on, and I like to know how things work. And it was actually the daughter of the owner that said to me, "Why don't you take your qualifications?" And I thought, "Oh, I'm in my 50s, can I be doing this?" And she said, "Go on, give it a go." So I did, and it was quite hard work. It was nearly 2 years of studying, but learnt so much. And the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know and you want to know. And it carries on from there.
Did you have a favourite area of the training, a training experience that you thought, I've learnt an awful lot there that I didn't know before? Or was it all like that?
It was really how legislation comes about and why some of the regulations in care homes you think, oh, this is just ridiculous. But then when you look behind it and see why we have to do the things we do for safeguarding, when it comes to recruiting, we have to go through quite a lengthy recruiting process to make sure we've got the right people, because we need to make sure that people are safe. That is the top level in the care home, is everybody safe. And once you can do that, we can get on with our job.
I think there's people out there, I think you're right, I think there are people out there who would never in a million years think they'd make a good carer, but who actually have all of the attributes of someone who is perfect to care, to go into care. And I think so many people perhaps rule themselves out of it. Perhaps there's a misconception that it might be depressing, it might be quite a difficult place to work. Are care homes a depressing place?
I think they're far from depressing. The staff work in our care home anyway, work as a really good team together. They laugh, there's a lot of laughing with the residents, and the families feel that when they come in. Last Thursday we had our Jubilee tea. We invited all the families in, and it was a family atmosphere. It was lovely, it was just lovely. And the staff join in, the staff dress up, the families know the staff. It's just a lovely atmosphere, and when we do laugh, we laugh a lot.
So after several years of training,
yeah,
the ultimate result of that was you became the manager of a care home?
I did. I became the registered manager the 1st of September 2021.
So you're fairly new in the job?
I am, yeah.
But that doesn't mean you're new to care, because you've been through all these years of experience and training. But it happened quite quick.
It's happened in 6 years. It happened for me very quickly. And so I would like to get out that you don't have to come into care from school and work your way up. There are different passages into care. There are different areas of care homes, domiciliary, there's lots of different types of care. And within the care home, we've got the housekeeping department, maintenance, kitchen. All of those people play a part, and we all work together as a team.
So you would be keen to get more people interested in care work. It's not just the pure care work, it could be activities coordinators.
Yes, activities is a huge part of being in care. People think it's a bit of a frippery on the edge, but it isn't actually. It's keeping the residents focused on their lives. Before a resident comes in, we ask the families and the resident to give us a huge life story. So we know their background, we know what they like to eat, what they like to do in their spare time, what their job was, their career path, so that we can try and carry that on in some way.
I've been asking this. Funny stories. Are there any examples of residents that just made you hoot, or things that happened that you now laugh about? I mean, you might want to take a moment to think about it, but
it's the residents that actually. One, because they're getting older, maybe they've got a slight dementia, but they lose their inhibitions, and the language is unbelievable. And that really does make us laugh. We had a resident the other day, her daughter came to visit, and her daughter's a vicar. And it just so happened that in the room next door, the maintenance man squashed his finger in an electric bed, and he did say an expletive, and the vicar came through and told him off. This vicar was there again last week when we was watching the Jubilee on the telly, and the lady in front of her, same one that told me to bugger off, came out with a big long list of words. She started singing a song about arseholes when the Queen was on the balcony, and and I had to turn around to the vicar and I said, I do apologise, but you can see now where the maintenance man gets it from, you know. But it is quite funny. We did have to take her out of the room a couple of times because it was upsetting some of the other residents. But we keep bringing her back in to try. But it is really funny because this particular resident is no bigger than 4 foot. But what she comes out with, and her sister is another resident, and she's shocked and appalled.
So that takes all her time,
Yeah.
being shocked and appalled.
It does, yeah.
Yes. If someone was interested in pursuing the career that you've chosen, where do you think they should start? If they want to be, for example, an activities coordinator or a housekeeper, where would you start? If somebody had no involvement in care, what would you advise them to do first?
Well, social media, we are on Facebook and Instagram, and we put out all the time. We take inquiries from anybody. We don't wait until we've got a job opportunity, because it's that values based again. If we've got the right person, we will find them a position, because once you can find that person, you've got a gold nugget there, and you will find a position for them.
What traits would you look for within somebody that makes you think that is why they'd be perfect for care?
It's someone, you can tell when you're talking to someone, it's someone who wants to help, who's someone who has an interest in people. It's someone who wants people to get the best out of their life. You can't be a clock watcher, so that there's just no point. We do have shift times, and you stay, within your shift times, but care is a sort of work where you give yourself. It's not always, it can't be about, obviously everyone needs to earn a living, but it can't be about money all the time. It's got to be a caring nature with an interest in people. You can just tell when you're talking to people if they have that. And I think when the candidate comes in, they should get that from whoever's interviewing them as well. I mean, for me, I always say to them, how do you want your mum and dad or your nan and granddad treated? And you'll hear from them how they think someone should be treated. Because that's how we try to teach. We try to treat everybody in our home like they're our mum and dad, and that's how you're going to get the best from everybody.
Karen, is there anything else? This is your chance. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Well, I'd like to offer it out to anybody. Age is no barrier to working in a care home. Even if you have a few hours a week, volunteering is a fabulous way to help us, help other people, and feel that you're doing something for your community. Part-time work, full-time work we have. If you're semi-retired, fabulous. If you've got those values, we want you.
So if anybody's out there, Karen, this is your chance to look down the lens of the camera and make an appeal. What would you say?
If you've got a few hours a week, if you would like to be with us full-time, we have openings for volunteers, part-time, full-time, ages, no barrier whatsoever. Please contact Garrett House. We would absolutely love to hear from you. And if you're the right person, there's a place for you at Garrett House.
Fantastic.